Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Some animals, like snakes, iguanas, or crabs, are too dangerous to keep as pets. And believe me or not, they're even more dangerous to be released in the wild. So if there's any crazy animal lover who has the following 10 animals as pets, I suggest you never release or dump them in the wild. Want to know why? Hang on to find out. Green iguanas. With proper care and upbringing, green iguanas can be rewarding and affectionate as pets. Maybe this is why they are so popular as pets for those who collect exotic animals. But the emphasis is on the proper care and upbringing because they need a strict environment and diet to survive in captivity. They can also present difficulties while taming and handling them, especially when they are fully grown. As the pet lovers realize later that these animals are hard to maintain, they tend to release them into the wild once they reach adulthood. As an adult iguana, they are bad and fierce predators and naturally hail from Central and South America and thrive in warm environments. When these animals are released in the wild, they cause such havoc and destruction to the native species of that area that many states, including Hawaii, have banned this species to keep as pets. Green iguanas released in parts of California, Florida, and Hawaii thrive in those environments because of the warmness of the weather and begin damaging the local ecosystems where they compete with native species for food and cause extensive damage to vegetation and local wildlife. So be considerate of the ecosystem you live in and do not dump green iguanas into the wild. Cuban tree frog. I never thought I would say that Cuban tree frogs are the cutest thing to keep as pets, although they are one of the most invasive amphibians on the planet. They're personal favorites of all exotic pet lovers, but just like green iguanas, the Cuban tree frog is also causing serious issues across Florida. Originally native to Cuba, the Bahamas, and the Cayman Islands, these frogs are camouflage experts and therefore are quite difficult to recognize among other frogs. They were first introduced to Florida in the 1920s, and recently they've gained popularity as an exotic pet. However, the people who keep them as their pets often release them in the wild and have therefore caused an explosion of these frogs in the wild. They are very aggressive, and in the wild they feed on at least 5 different species of native Floridian frogs, along with lizards, small snakes, and tadpoles. They can even survive in urban areas where they lay their eggs on birdhouses, ponds, and bird baths. They're responsible for massive changes in the ecosystem and are a danger to environments where they aren't native because they don't have natural predators there and should therefore never be released in the wild. Rabbits. Everyone loves rabbits. They're incredibly cute, fluffy, adorable, and are therefore extremely popular as pets around the world. And you might be wondering now how these apparently docile rabbits bother me, and why I don't want any of you to release them in the wild. But hear me out first. They were once released in the wild jungles of Australia for hunting in 1859. Only 24 rabbits were set free, and by 1920, the estimated number of rabbits crossed 10 billion across the country, and all efforts to curb this infestation of rabbits failed. The reason for those numerous failed attempts to halt the population growth was the speed of breeding, the ability to feed on most vegetation, and overall resilience of these species to thrive. They still roam Australia in huge numbers, like they own the place, and pose a threat to many of the natural species like the bilby and burrowing bettong by taking over their burrows. This is why I asked you to never release a single rabbit where they're not native. Hermit crabs. Hermit crabs are becoming popular as the first choice of exotic pet lovers, but little do they know that these little animals are extremely boring and dry, and owners only after once they buy them get to know this, and as crazy as they were to buy them in the first place, they get equally crazy to get rid of them. The best way they find is to release these crustaceans in the wild, which is the worst thing they can do with the local ecosystem. First of all, hermit crabs can carry certain bacteria from your tank into the wild and can potentially destroy entire ecosystems. Hermit crabs are very prone to hosting bacteria and pathogens that are not harmful to the hermit crab itself, but for other animals. Whoa, this animal with its bacteria and pathogens can have disastrous consequences. Another reason why releasing hermit crabs in the wild is a bad idea is the intraspecific competition between hermit crabs. Their fight is deadly. The dozens of hermit crab species can break hell in the wild when they come together. So if you ever want to get rid of these boring creatures, I suggest you contact an expert, and don't worry, there are many people who rescue these tiny critters, and you can easily contact them online. Snails. The giant African land snail is another very famous and popular pet for the exotic-minded, but again, they are very boring and people get bored with them very easily. But again, releasing them in the wild is the most destructive mistake you will ever make. This animal has been banned in the United States as a pet because of its destructive power. Their breeding speed is very fast, which means they literally infest the area they are released in. The entire giant African land snail population in the United States can be traced back to 1966 when a young boy brought 3 to Miami. His grandmother released them into their garden in order to get rid of them, as handling these snails was getting difficult day by day. 7 years after the release, the population was over 18,000, and the damage done was unimaginable. The state of Florida had to spend over $1 million and 10 years of time to get rid of the snail. And now let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day. This image was sent to us by a subscriber. Similarly, if you ever wish to know more about an image you come across, just send it to us. Who knows, we might even feature it on one of our videos. Goldfish. The subscriber pick of today is a great one in the sense that it completely justifies the soul of our title. Now, all of you can frown on me again for the reason that I'm bringing shame on an innocent-looking and harmless fish, but again, I would request y'all to hear me out first. Goldfish are quite harmless and well-loved pets of adults and children alike around the world, but releasing them into the wild can lead to catastrophic damage to the local ecosystem. The effects were clearly seen in Australia, where the problem has gotten out of hand. In 2016, researchers from Murdoch University in Perth caught a goldfish that weighed up to 2 kilograms and was 30 centimeters long. A fish of this stature was thought to be descended from a small variety of goldfish that were kept as pets and released into the wild some years ago. By consuming more food and disrupting the processes of natural ecosystems, these fish can grow and thrive in the wild. Goldfish the size of dinner plates have been found in Alberta and Canada as well. Authorities then had to fine $100,000 to those who released non-native species into the wild. Another legendary giant goldfish was taken out of a lake in the south of France. The only plausible reason for the fish ending up in the lake is someone trying to get rid of the fish. The goldfish has no natural predator in the US, and there's a chance it could be carrying a virus which could damage the health of other species. Snakes. A sane man would never keep a snake as a pet. It would require a frantic, pet-loving brain who would dare to keep snakes as pets, but if you do have snakes in your homes, I request you through this video not release them in the wild. First of all, if they are venomous and non-native to the environment, they're a threat to all other species whom it can subdue. Even if it is non-venomous, they're still dangerous. For example, pythons, which are very popular as pets among snake lovers, when released in the wild, can cause havoc in areas where they're not endemic. They will prey on small animals which can fit in their mouths. One such example of the havoc was found in the Everglades, where a number of released pythons killed over 99% of the smaller animal population. If you ever feel like releasing your snake in the wild, we request you consult an expert. That's all from today. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Show us your love by subscribing to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos.